Have you ever wondered why, among the thousands of Buddhist scriptures, the Lotus Sutra is honored as the king of all sutras? Have you ever felt drawn to it, yet uncertain of its true depth and transformative power? Welcome back to the channel. I'm truly grateful that you've joined us again on this sacred journey. Today, we will explore one of the most majestic and mysterious teachings in all of Buddhism, the Lotus Sutra, and in particular, one of its most extraordinary chapters, the story of the Medicine King Bodhisatt. This is not just a tale of devotion or self-sacrifice. It is a living blueprint of the highest ideals of Buddhist practice, faith, courage, boundless compassion, and the willingness to give everything for the sake of truth. And as we walk through this story together, you'll begin to see why the Lotus Sutra is not only revered as ancient sutras, but also why it speaks directly to your life, your struggles, and your inner call to become something more than you think you are. The Lotus Sutra, also known as the Sutra of the Wonderful Dharma of the Lotus Flower, is one of the most widely read, deeply cherished, and profoundly mystical scriptures in Mahayana Buddhism. It is a teaching not merely of philosophy or religious ethics. It is a direct revelation of the Buddha's ultimate intention that all beings, without exception, possess the potential for enlightenment. But this teaching doesn't just tell you what's possible. It demands that you believe it. It calls upon you to trust that even in your moments of deepest darkness, you still carry the seed of awakening. The story of the Medicine King Bodhisatt in chapter 23 is one of the most vivid expressions of this faith in action. Once, in a past life, the Bodhisattva, known as gladly seen by all beings, heard the Lotus Sutra being taught. So moved was he by its teachings, so deeply did he understand its value, that he did something that left even the gods in awe. He offered his own body as a supreme act of devotion. He anointed himself with fragrant oils, adorned himself with divine flowers, and then, lighting a flame, he burned his body as an offering to the Dharma. For 1200 years, his body became a lamp illuminating the truth. Now, to the modern mind, this might sound extreme, even shocking, but let us not misunderstand. This is not a story of self-destruction. It is a story of complete and fearless love. It is about transcending the illusion of self altogether and recognizing that when we give ourselves to truth, we lose nothing. In fact, we become everything. The burning of his body was not an act of pay, it was an act of blazing clarity. What this story teaches us is that real practice requires fire, not literal fire, but the fire of sincerity, the fire of unshakable devotion, the fire of readiness to let go of our illusions and step fully into who we truly are. You may not be called to such literal sacrifice in your life, but perhaps in your own way, you've been asked to give something up at comfort, ego, resentment, fear, and perhaps you struggled. That's where the Lotus Sutra meets you. It doesn't demand perfection, it demands presence. It doesn't ask you to be a saint overnight. It asks you to believe that you are capable of sainthood even when you feel completely unworthy. You see, the Medicine King Bodhisattva represents all of us, not because we've burned our bodies, but because in our quiet moments, we've all felt the pull to become more than we are. We've all longed to serve something higher. We've all glimpsed a love so vast, we would give everything for it, if only we knew how. The Lotus Sutra shows us the way. It tells us, do not underestimate the power of a single vow. Do not think your chanting is meaningless. Do not believe that your past disqualifies you from future light. In fact, this sutra goes even further. The Buddha tells us in this very chapter that the merits gained from praising, reciting, and sharing the Medicine King Bodhisattva's story are beyond measure. Even just rejoicing in this story opens a person's heart to divine fragrance, lotus-bloomed speech, and the eternal blessings of the Dharma. What does this mean practically? It means that when you speak the truth, you perfume the air around you. When you live with integrity, the world becomes more beautiful. When you share your struggles and healing with others, your story becomes medicine. You don't have to be perfect to be useful. You don't have to be enlightened to be a light. And that's the power of the Lotus Sutra. Tells us that enlightenment is not reserved for monks in the mountains or sages in caves. It is available to anyone, right here, right now, who opens their heart and dares to believe I too can awaken. Let me tell you a true story. There was a woman who had battled addiction for 20 years. He had hurt many people. He had lost her home, her family, and her dignity. One day, after hitting rock bottom, he found a worn copy of the Lotus Sutra in a thrift store. He bought it for $1. At night, he began reading. First, it made no sense, but he kept going. He was especially struck by the chapter about the Medicine King Bodhisattva. He didn't understand everything, but he felt something awaken inside her. So he made a vow, not to burn her body, but to offer her life as a healing path. He entered recovery, started volunteering, and began teaching meditation in prisons. Years later, he still credits that moment, the moment he read that story, as the turning point of her life. He said, I realized that even I, after all my pain and destruction, could become medicine. And so can you. Every time you choose compassion over anger, you are burning your ego. Every time you speak gently when you're hurting, you are lighting a sacred fire. Every time you forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, you are becoming a lamp of truth. That's what the Medicine King Bodhisattva teaches us. That's why the Lotus Sutra is king. Because it doesn't tell you to escape your life, it tells you to transform it from within. Thank you so much for watching this video. If the story of the Medicine King Bodhisattva moved you, please let us know in the comments below. Have you ever had to make a sacrifice for something greater than yourself? Have you ever felt that your pain could become medicine for someone else? Share your truth. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and consider joining as a member to help us continue sharing stories that heal, uplift, and awaken the soul. Until next time, may your heart be brave, your practice be sincere, and your life be filled with the fragrance of the Lotus Sutra.